The Yamaha Raptor 700R turns 18 years old for 2024, remaining as relevant as it was the day of its release. A sport ATV loved worldwide due to its historically unmatched balance of performance, durability, and comfort. Since our last test of the 700R back in 2016, little has changed, with the exception of colorways and the addition of reflectors. Unrivaled and already so good, Yamaha believes there's been little reason for updates since 2015. For this test, we wanted to accomplish two things. First, get a fresh take on the Raptor from experienced riders who've never ridden it. Secondly, with a lack of modern sport ATV options and nearly every sport ATV ever produced being utilized for various types of racing at some point in history, we're wondering if it's past time we start considering the 700 as a potential race machine for different disciplines. After all, it continues winning the world's toughest race, just wrapping up another win in the Dakar Rally.
So having never ridden a Raptor before, but hearing my friends talk about them, I was expecting a whole bunch of low-end torque, which this machine definitely didn't disappoint. I was also expecting the handling to be a little bit higher center of gravity than the YFZ that I'm used to riding.
So coming into this, I expected the Raptor to have a lot of low-end torque, what I've heard from other people, and I expected it to be really tippy and not handle all that great, but also have a lot of power and a lot of top-end speed.
Our test was held at Hidden Springs Ranch in Springfield, Ohio, a ride park that's open to the public, a stop for the Ohio Cross Country Racing Series. It provides a cross-country loop with mixed terrain that our riders were very familiar with. ATV On Demand's test of the 2024 Yamaha Raptor 700R was made possible by Make staying in contact simple with the wireless PackTalk Edge ORV communication system from Cardo. Dynamic Mesh Communication provides up to a 1-mile range between units and up to 5 miles in larger groups. Water, dust, and mud-proof, it offers easy in-helmet installation with sound by JBL. Offering hands-free voice-activated operation with up to 13 hours of talk time on a single charge. PackTalk is ideal for both in-car and car-to-car communication, allowing you to connect up to 15 units at one time. Ideal for side-by-sides, ATVs, dirt bikes, or any other type of off-road use.
You guys ready?
We're ready.
Roll it.
Learn more or order yours now at cardosystems.com. We use Maxima SC1 on our fleet of ATVs to help prevent mud buildup, speed cleanup, reduce the look of minor scratches, restore deep factory color and shine, and of course, there's the legendary SC1 scent. More than a new bike in a can, this magic spray works great on mountain bikes, automobiles, boots, or just about any other plastic, vinyl, rubber, or carbon fiber surface. Get Maxima SC1 at your local power sports dealer or at MaximaUSA.com. ATV On Demand's 2024 Ultimate Sport ATV Shootout.
Subscribe now.
Watch the king of two-wheel drive sport ATVs, the Yamaha Raptor 700R. Take on the GNCC 4x4 class dominating Renegade 1000R. And the super long travel suspension and massive footprint of the Polaris Scrambler XP 1000S. To help determine which of these machines best fits your high-performance off-road riding needs. Coming this spring to ATV On Demand. Trim packages. The Raptor line begins with a standard Raptor 700. It forgoes the 700R's more adjustable suspension and adjustable front brake lever to achieve its $9,699 price tag. It's a good choice for those who don't plan on tuning their stock shocks or having them revalved by an aftermarket tuner. The 700R gains fully adjustable KYB shocks, providing a much greater level of adjustability for different rider weights, riding styles, and skill levels. An adjustable front brake lever is another welcomed upgrade. In our opinion, at $10,299, the 700R is easily worth the extra $600 for riders wanting to be able to fine-tune the ride of their machine, or want to be able to revalve and respring the stock shocks, which is far more affordable than purchasing aftermarket ones. The 700R Special Edition adds an aluminum front bumper and heel guards from Yamaha's GYTR line of accessories, in addition to unique color schemes and graphics. The unique color schemes and aluminum accessories will set you back $600 more than the 700R. with the special edition retailing for $10,899. Engine performance. Powering the Raptor is a 686cc water-cooled 4-stroke engine, featuring a 4-valve single overhead cam head design. Its displacement is achieved through a 102mm bore by 84mm stroke. A 10-to-1 compression ratio strikes a nice balance between reliability and performance. Air is drawn from a large airbox located under the seat, providing toolless access to the air filter for maintenance. Yamaha fuel injection delivers the gas via a 44mm throttle body. A manual transmission and chain drive provide the most efficient and responsive use of the top end's power. The Raptor features a 5-speed wide ratio manual clutch-equipped transmission with a 520 X-ring chain providing final drive to the rear wheels. A reverse gear is there if you get in a jam. Just turn the knob on the right front fender and shift down from first to reverse. Push-button electric starting brings the engine to life, warming up quickly. The Raptor delivers clean throttle response throughout the RPM range, with no annoying hesitations or hiccups.
So when I first got on the Raptor, I was in the parking lot heading down, and you could immediately tell that it had a bunch of low-end power on it. And then once we finally got to open it up on that little switchback cross back and forth, I realized just how much low-end power this thing has. Moving into the more technical hill climbs and different things like that, and the off-camber muddy sections that we went through, the low-end torque on this thing was a safety net. And one of my favorite sections was a rocky incline, and it was actually very forgiving because being used to a YFZ, I have to hit everything with a lot of momentum. But on the Raptor, I felt like I could really focus on just wheel placement and use this big 700cc motor to tractor through it rather than just bounce off of everything. And it really gave me a little bit of extra confidence.
Everyone talks about it having a bunch of low-end power, and I did notice that it does. Where I found the meat of the power was in the mid-range, which you don't hear a lot of people talk about. But I found myself riding in that and benefiting from it.
It just likes that real nice middle of the range power band, and it just pulls in that area so well. Up hills, through mud, switching from turn to turn.
I noticed that you want to short shift it and keep it pretty far away from the limiter to stay in the meat of its power and its usable power. It pulls really hard through the mid-range, but you don't want to bring it up in its top end.
You do have to make sure that you shift about 1,000 RPMs before the red line, which really helps it just keep climbing, and it honestly makes it feel very, very fast. The other thing that was pretty nice about this machine and having this torque monster inside of the frame rails is the fact that I didn't really need to use the clutch all that much in the technical sections that we rode, because the low end really just dug it out. Now the clutch was always there when you needed it, and it had a very nice feel, especially if you're used to sport quads. However, the low end on this machine makes it so that you don't really have to worry about stalling out.
So in stock form out in the wide open sections, I found the gear spacing and the gearing itself really nice. It pulled well, it shifted well. Now, when it came to more technical stuff through the woods, I think in stock form, again, it could benefit from bumping it up a tooth in the rear. The main reason for me wanting to gear down this quad a little bit is to tighten up the gap between first and second, which probably wouldn't even be an issue with a pipe and a tuner.
Fuel Customs Intakes, the big 3 engine upgrade experts, have dyno tested a majority of the Raptor pipes on the market. They tell us that pairing their intake with a good aftermarket exhaust and properly tuned fuel controller boost peak horsepower from 45 in stock trim to between 52 and 55 horsepower, with increased horsepower across the usable RPM range, in addition to an added 1.5 foot-pounds of torque. If you already have an exhaust, adding a Fuel Customs intake can add 3 additional horsepower at peak and 6 horsepower in over-rev. Their recommendations made a huge difference on our Yamaha Raptor 700RR project. For help choosing the right setup for your Raptor, reach out to Fuel Customs at fuelcustoms.com. Suspension and handling. The Raptor is built on a hybrid steel and aluminum frame, The front section and lower frame rails are constructed of steel. They connect to an aluminum rear section with a removable aluminum subframe. This design was chosen to help optimize strength, weight, and handling. Dual A-arm suspension is used up front, delivering 9.1 inches of wheel travel. A linkage-equipped, lightweight cast aluminum swing arm and solid axle are used out back, providing 10.1 inches of travel, delivering a level of adjustability once reserved for race quads. KYB shocks provide threaded spring preload, high and low speed compression, and rebound damping adjustments at both ends. The Raptor rolls on purpose-built Maxxis tires, 22 by 7 by 10 inches front and 20 by 10 by 9 inches rear. They're mounted on good quality, lightweight aluminum wheels. Overall, the Raptor measures in at 45.5 inches wide. It has a 50.4 inch wheelbase, a seat height of 32.7 inches, an overall height of 43.9 inches with a max ground clearance of 9.5 inches. While many imagine that the 700R is dramatically heavier than the race-focused YFZ 450R, in reality, it's only 17 pounds heavier, with a curb weight of 422 pounds. For more on how the Raptor and YFZ compare, check out our Raptor 700R versus YFZ 450R shootout.
I found the stock shocks in the Raptor to be amazing. The guys at ATV On Demand asked me all day if I wanted to change anything about it, but I really couldn't find anything because they soaked up everything and felt great all day. Going through the woods, the suspension does a great job taking the rough edge off of small obstacles, but it also gives me a really good confidence going fast through the woods and being able to charge hard. So when we took the Raptor out to the field, there were some small little kickers and jumps we hit, and landing the flat, the suspension was really plush, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. And I found it really plush, and I was super impressed. I figured it was going to be rough, but it was really smooth.
I think right out of the box, it has a very good suspension that'll fit a wide range of people. It was pretty plush when we were jumping it, and going through a lot of the technical stuff, it soaked it up very well. I don't think we made a single clicker adjustment to it the whole day that we were riding it.
I found the steering on the Raptor quick, accurate, and kind of nimble because of its narrow width. I think like any other sport quad, it could definitely benefit from a steering stabilizer.
If it was a long sweeping turn, a regular turn, a track turn, it did excellent. It planted to the ground. It went exactly where I wanted it to be. It was just where I needed the rear end to slide a little bit in order to make that turn fast. I felt like it had way too much grip.
I found the Raptor surprisingly stable and not tippy in the corners. But one thing I didn't like very much was in the off cambers and tight corners, I noticed the rear end does not like to slide around very much. I think that's due to the narrow width and the higher center of gravity compared to a YFZ or other similar sport quads.
Overall, this thing did pretty good, and it went everywhere I wanted to. When I was going up hills, down hills, going through some of the mud holes, I knew exactly where the front wheels were pointing, and that is where I was gonna go.
In the rough high-speed field sections, I found the Raptor was a little twitchy and a little nervous. That's kind of to be expected with how agile and narrow it is. On climbs and descents, I found that the Raptor is very well planted, but I could also pop the front end up very easily when needed, and it was also really controllable.
Overall, it seemed that both of our racers had a lot of positive things to say about the Raptor's suspension and handling, with only a few small criticisms. Probably a bigger surprise to them than it was to us. Brakes. Dual hydraulic disc brakes front and a single hydraulic disc brake rear, featuring dual piston calipers all around, slow the Raptor.
Braking on the Raptor 700, admittedly, I used the engine brake a lot. Being a large four-stroke, the engine braking on this thing was phenomenal. Although, when I did have to use the brakes, when I was either setting up for a turn or going down a hill, they had a great feel, as well as I knew exactly where the lockup point was after only riding for a few minutes.
The brakes on the Raptor have plenty of power, but they're also really easy to modulate. I found that I could ride them down hills very easily, but I could also lock them up when needed.
Ergonomics and other details. The cockpit consists of a long plush seat that's easy to move around on. A bit taller than the YFZs, it makes sitting more comfortable and standing up easier. Tall steel handlebars feature a fair amount of sweep. Brake and clutch levers are comfortable. Them and their perches are well constructed. An adjustable front brake lever is a nice touch on the R and SE models. The separate rear foot brake is height adjustable on all models. 45mm wide foot pegs are reasonably wide for aggressive riding. The Raptor's heel guards are typically a welcomed safety item. Dual 35-watt Krypton headlights and an LED tail and brake light provide ample lighting for night cruises.
The ergonomics of the Raptor I find very interesting. Being a YFZ rider as well as a dirt bike rider a lot of the time, the one thing that I really liked about it is that it had a nice feel in between my knees. Having the taller seat height and the lower peg, as you can see, we were definitely gripping a lot more with our knees. Having the taller seat there helped out a lot. When I was riding this, I definitely felt like I was sitting in it more than I was on it. The taller bars, I don't think helps it at all. The place that I noticed the bars being the highest is when we were in the field section and I was really trying to make up a lot of time through the turns. And I think if I was to own this machine as a daily rider, it would definitely have lower bars on it.
I'm about 6'1", and I felt comfortable getting off the side of the seat and transferring my weight when needed. And I found the stock bar height was good enough. I would also change to a different set of bars, but that's kind of a given buying a new sport quad.
Race potential.
I think the Raptor as a cross-country racer has a lot more potential than people give it credit for. And it surprised me personally. I think the motor, the chassis, and the suspension all have a good place and a role to play in that type of racing.
I definitely think that you could turn this into a competitive race bike. Coming from GNCC, OXCR, IXCR, which are all cross-country woods racing, hare scramble style races, I think that this could definitely be a contender. Especially being a vet rider, I think this could be a very good competitive vet racing machine. It has won national championships before in the vet classes, and I see no reason why it can't continue to win championships on this bike.
Conclusion.
Having never ridden this bike before and having the chance with ATV On Demand to ride it all day, I think the performance, the handling, the ergonomics, and the fact that I was able to ride it all day pretty hard without wearing myself out too much is a big plus for this bike. I also think that the changes that I would personally make are gonna be sport quad wide. Nobody really likes their stock bars when they buy them, and a stabilizer is always a plus whenever you're out riding in the woods.
After getting to ride this Raptor all day throughout a muddy, rocky, rough trail system, I was really impressed. It exceeded my expectations in all areas, really, especially with the suspension and how it handled. It controlled itself very well, and it was really fun more than anything.
Overall, the Raptor 700, I think it can be competitive in racing, but I think the overall feel for this machine for me is definitely the guy that wants to go out there and ride with his friends all day, whether it's you're heading out to the dunes, you're gonna ride the trails around our area in the Ohio, Indiana area, or even go on some of the national parks where you can literally ride for miles and miles. I think that this is definitely the bike for those folks.
Watching during testing and listening to our riders' feedback. More than anything, the 2024 Yamaha Raptor 700R continues to excel at delivering maximum fun. For more information on the 2024 Yamaha Raptor 700R and their full line of ATVs and side-by-sides, log on to yamahamotorsports.com.